Okay, our beloveds, we will take another stab at this today. The energies are shifting so greatly that it's hard to pinpoint one particular message, because 5 minutes from now it will no longer be as relevant as it is right now. And since it will take hours for another to upload it, we need to find the most stable frequency that we can today to share our message. Today is a day about self-reflection, self-actualization, and honoring and upholding the laws of the universe. There are so many energies that are in flux right now, and it's very difficult to adjust one dial without affecting another part of the construct. So if you picture a hammock, for example, or a tablecloth that has 4 strings tied, one at each corner, and tied to trees, as you lower one side, you are now out of balance with the other 3, and so you must adjust all 4 corners in this particular example. And that holds true for energies. When you shift a domino in a matrix that you have set up, you will no longer strike the domino next to it, which was supposed to fall down in succession with the other dominoes that have pre-designed themselves for your experience. When you alter one aspect of your life somewhat dramatically or profoundly, the remaining dominoes that were supposed to fall down with the original direction now need to be reordered elsewhere, if that makes sense. So it is so difficult to give guidance when everything else will be readjusted as well. And depending upon your particular interpretation of our message will also determine the direction within which your dominoes will fall down. And ultimately, you will get to that end destination. But similar to driving on the highway of life, the particular exit that you take determines the grocery stores, the gas stores, the hotels or lodging, as well as the sights that you can see in that particular area. So if you miss your off-ramp and decide not to make a U-turn and come back to that place, but instead take the next off-ramp, you will be in a different part of the same town or in a different town itself. And so we are doing our best to share the universal knowledge that you all need to know at this point in order to successfully manage your path or your journey. And many of you may very well say, but if I do nothing, won't my path simply get me to where I am designed to go? Well, yes and no. If you are on what we would call the enlightened path already, meaning that you have surrendered, then in the end you will get roughly to where you are meant to be. However, if you are still in what we would call the mind construct, and you have not yet surrendered, then no, you will end up in a vastly different place. And we go back to our very common example. If you are a heroin addict and you don't surrender and you continue down that path, your path will be that of a heroin addict. And you may die from a drug overdose, from starvation, from freezing to death. You get what we're trying to get at. There are lots and lots of opportunities for your exit point. However, if you are a heroin addict and you realize that your addiction comes from trauma, generally speaking, in your childhood, and you begin to reverse some of that trauma, then you will end up in a vastly different place. You could be doing a TED Talk. You could be running your own business, running a therapy recovery program. There are so many different things that are possible. But if you have not surrendered yet, it's just a question of what's going to get you, because there are so many different choices that you can make that will lead you to wherever you end up. Whereas if you surrender and you set intentions, the intentions will guide much of the direction of your path, of your destination, of your journey. So our goal today is to encourage the collective to simply pay attention to those messages, those lessons, those letters from the creditor saying, you owe, you owe, you owe. And instead of burning them, shredding them, or ignoring them, it is best if you open them, call them up, explain where you are at, and work to find a reasonable and collaborative solution. Because if you don't, the lessons that will continue to come down the pike will not be pleasurable for you, no matter what your intentions are and no matter what your trauma is. We are working our way to get the collective to pull themselves through the eye of the needle, to teach yourselves that you are not your past trauma, you are not your past behavior, you are merely you at this point in time. And if you can shed those prior constructs and start anew, you can begin to heal from your past traumas. But you must look at your demons head on and have those conversations with them. It is called by some shadow work. With others, it is simply called trauma therapy. You could do psychedelics and just see it for what it is. There are different ways of getting to your end destination, but the destination is bearing down upon you. And we just encourage you all to look at it closer, because if you can focus on healing your past traumas, you will find that much in your future readjusts itself, as we were speaking of, creating a new timeline for you and those around you. And so it is. Namaste.